Hello, everybody. My name is Nat. Welcome to my podcast. It's where, we're just going to talk about whatever we want to talk about. We just talk about what we is. And we is, this week, just trying things. Just throwing things against the wall. We're just getting our feet off the ground. Just seeing what this podcast thing is like. If you're listening, go ahead and crack open a cold one of whatever you like to drink, and let's talk about something. Let's just dip right into it. Hey, so again, my name is Nat. That's November Alpha Tango for you that speak phonetic alphabet. That's short for Nathaniel, not to be mixed up with Daniel. It's Nat, not Matt. I really don't know if, people can't understand me when I say my name, or if people just aren't listening, but yeah. I always get mixed up. I say Nat, they say, yeah, I was talking to Matt. I say, no. Honey, listen, my name is Nathaniel. They're like, oh, yeah, okay, Daniel. Got it. I'm like, I give up at this point. Please just call me Turd Ferguson. That will be my name. And they're like, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to call you Turd Ferguson. I'm like, well, then, Britt, come order this food for me. Okay. They're not going to get my name right, so why are we even bothering with it? Anyways, but yeah, welcome to the podcast. I'm currently juggling between computers, between my live stream and YouTube career, which is not very successful, but we figured we would go into audio format, see what audio has to bring. I don't know who the other parties that are involved in the we is, but we's excited to try this out. Hey, that's the name of the podcast, we is. So the idea with this is really we're just going to talk about whatever we talk about. I'm going to get people on here to talk about whatever it is they want to talk about, whatever interests them. I'm going to talk about whatever interests myself. Just to forewarn you what interests me. I love video games. I love anime. I love professional wrestling. God knows I love professional wrestling. So be warned that may be some subjects that come up a lot during this podcast, and hopefully it entertains you. Hopefully you'll listen. Hopefully you will throw some simp money at me down the road. Lord knows I need simp money. I need to buy a new computer eventually, so simp money would be great. I have a couple friends of mine that started a podcast, and that's really what kind of inspired me to get into the podcast. Shout out to my friends at the podcast, Generally Feral. Go listen to them. I'm not going to spoil what they talk about, but it's obnoxious. Just feral topics. They're feral. I don't have any notes for what to talk about. Yeah. Thanks for listening to the podcast today, guys. Hope you guys were great. Had a great day. No, I do have some things in mind. I'm just going to make a little bit of notes here. Let's talk about the pandemic. And then we'll see how long that takes me. We'll see how far the pandemic goes. The pandemic. Am I right, guys? Am I right, ladies? Out of control. I guess that's a big subject for me today just because I am raging about the pandemic. So a little bit about my experience with the pandemic. And this also ties into professional wrestling. March 11th. That's going to be one of the dates that are ingrained in my head. I was so excited for March 11th. That was the day AEW Dynamite was coming to Salt Lake City. I'm a Wyoming boy, and I live in the southwest portion of Wyoming. So, AEW was still touring at this time. They had a show one week in Denver, Colorado. The next week they went to Salt Lake City. And Salt Lake City is closer and much easier of a drive and much more of a familiar of a drive to me than Denver. I never want to step leadfoot in Denver again. It's going to happen someday, but I can make my way around Salt Lake City, Utah just fine. So, AEW, All Elite Wrestling, professional wrestling, new wrestling company that just came out a year ago. For those of you who know nothing about wrestling, they just started a year ago and they've been hot. They've been on fire. They've been like damn good professional wrestling. I got my work buddy who hasn't watched wrestling since the 90s back into professional wrestling because of All Elite Wrestling. Me and my buddy Ruben, we don't even worry about WrestleMania anymore. It's AEW All Out, baby. September comes around, All Out. That's the name of their pay-per-view in September. All Out. It was All In the first year because they were they were going all in. But then it became a thing. They became a company. All Out. Anyways, they were doing their tours, and the week before they were in Denver. The week after that, they were in Salt Lake City. And my wife and I, we, after our little hiatus from the normal functioning world, that will be another podcast. After our hiatus, we got really into professional wrestling. And we started with WWE because that's all that was available, really, was WWE. Eventually, I got into, I saw a little bit of Ring of Honor, ROH. I was introduced to the Young Bucks at that time, and I'm like, damn, Young Bucks are really cool. And also, a little bit later past that, New Japan Pro Wrestling, NJPW. And I watched their Wrestle Kingdom pay-per-view. I believe it was the one, Jericho versus Omega. Because Chris Jericho is my all-time GOAT. I've been following this guy since WCW in the 90s, and he always, just the characters always amaze me with this dude. I'm going off on a big wrestling tangent. If you were expecting something else today on this podcast, I'm sorry. I know I said we're talking about the pandemic, but I got to give you background story. This is episode 1. This is the first time you're getting an introduction to me, getting an introduction to what I'm saying. You don't know anything about me and my wrestling. So, anyways. New Japan Pro Wrestling. Watching Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho, Alpha versus Omega. And it completely changed the way that match, it completely changed the way I looked at professional wrestling. It was a feeling I was looking for. Fast forward a year or two later, All Elite Wrestling comes along, and their product is just I don't feel stupid watching it. I feel like it's actually professional wrestling, and it's actually entertaining. I don't feel like this is a soap opera for men. I know that women watch professional wrestling, i.e. my wife, but I don't feel like this brand of wrestling, All Elite, is a soap opera. Yeah, they got some hokey shit sometimes, but it's pretty entertaining shit to watch. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be, swear friendly. Words are free to go where they want to go in this podcast. So, we've only been to one professional wrestling show before this. We went with my buddy, Ruben. Shout out, Ruben. I've known him since 3rd, 4th grade. We've been, basically best friends ever since. And, he knew I got back into wrestling, so he sound out the word. Hey, WWE's coming to Denver. 2-night event doing Raw and SmackDown. Who wants to go to the shows? Brittany and I are like, hell yeah, we want to go see Raw and SmackDown. We want to go see live professional wrestling. And live professional wrestling is cool as hell. Let me tell you that. I cannot wait for this pandemic to be over just to go see professional wrestling again. And I want to experience live concerts, like actual real live concerts. Not this county fair shit. Even though I've seen some great county fair shit, I want to go see a live concert in a real venue. And professional wrestling. So we go down there. I had no voice by the end of it. I was shouting and yelling and having a great time. It was a 2-night event. Raw was on Monday night. At the time, SmackDowns were on Tuesdays, so it was a twofer. By the time Tuesday night came around, my voice was gone. I had a migraine halfway through the event from shouting so hard. It was a blast. I would recommend going to see live wrestling to anybody. And, that was fun as hell seeing WWE, even though, in my opinion, and I'm sorry if this triggers any marks, their product's just kind of stale and not that great. It's getting a little bit better, but it's just not my exact cup of tea. I can go without watching WWE television per week, but AEW comes on Wednesday night, Dynamite. I have to watch it. We have to watch it. Sure, I'm ADHD and I still get distracted through the night and I get on my phone, but I have to watch AEW. I have to watch Being the Elite on YouTube, the Young Bucks YouTube channel, for their supplementary, there's words I can't say. Their stories on the side, which somehow make their way onto TV. Shout out John Silver, the greatest wrestler alive. Where were we going? We were going back to March 11th. And I'm just telling you why I love AEW. They announced that they were going to Salt Lake City. And I couldn't have been more stoked. I know Ruben was down in Denver, but that, it was more economically feasible for me to go experience this in Salt Lake City. Not just me, but, Britt and I. This was our wrestling adventure. And let me tell you, Samsung, I don't want to upgrade my phone right now. That's a story for another podcast. Just AEW Dynamite Live was fantastic. And, this was March 11th. And I'm going back to, I will never forget the date, March 11th. Not just because I have it on a ticket that's hanging up on my bar area, which is wrestling themed, or on my fridge, but just, it's right in there with just dates that are ingrained in my brain. First off, yeah, I was totally excited to see AEW, as we probably have gathered from this. I'm repeating myself. I'm sorry. That is the format of the podcast. I'm going to repeat myself in stories. But there was just a lingering background that was going through this whole time, was something that has never been seen in the world before, aka COVID-19, also known as coronavirus. Now, weeks leading up to that, I was, watching what was going on in the world. I was concerned. And, things were getting canceled, but nothing really was like the way it was now. And I say now as in we're in the midst of a fucking pandemic. Things were concerning in March, but not to the level they are now. And maybe we'll get into that later in the podcast. Maybe we'll get into that in another podcast. This podcast is just turning into March the 11th. So yeah, we were watching this. We had our tickets for a month or two. And, we were really excited because when we went to WWE, we had seats up in the stands. We were a little bit of ways. This time, we bought seats on the floor. I mean, they were not the greatest floor seats, but they were on the floor. That's an accomplishment to me. Floor is closer to the action. You're right there. You can see these dudes' muscles. You can see the sweat on their body. You can hear the wrestlers. So we were all stoked. And believe me, next time wrestling is back to the world and this virus is done, we're going front row seat. We're going to be the thing you see every time the hard cam is on the ring. Me and Brittany and whoever wants to come with us. We are so ready for that. So, yeah, there was no way we were going to miss this. And we were watching. Things started going out in stores. We're like, maybe we should get some hand sanitizer. There was no hand sanitizer. It was gone. Everybody was in hand sanitizer mode. We stopped at a gas station, fueled up, got some snacks for the night so that we didn't just eat expensive concession junk food all night and blow our money. There was no hand sanitizer there. And we weren't going to go to Walmart and look for hand sanitizer. I'm looking at you, Wyoming border town. You know who you are. You know who you are. And the good gas station off the interstate with the amazing hot dogs and the fresh baked stuff. You know who you are. And it was just a weird feeling. Once we finally got to Salt Lake City, Utah, we got to the Maverick Center. We got there like an hour early. And yeah, we stood in line. Back when lines were a thing. Back when close contact was a thing. I mean, there was not any separation between us and the people. We were like, they're kind of weird. Oh, yeah, there's separation now. But back then, it was like, you're right up on top of each other. And so we waited there. People were passing out flyers. Hey, come check out our local show. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm not going to come to your local show because I got to go back home and go to work. Not tomorrow. I took the day off tomorrow. But, after this, I got to go back to my 8 to 5. And I got to make some money for the next time. And, AEW had a good buy rate for live tickets. In the early events, shows were getting sold out and people were really buying tickets. And as we were watching people buy the tickets, I was watching ticket sales and seeing how filled the seats were going to be. And I was like, why are people not buying the seats? Duh. But I was watching it. And it was just a really eerie feeling going there. I mean, they put on a hell of a show, but it was eerie going there. So, the tickets, this was basically like a small arena, not like a big NBA arena. The closest I can compare to is the Vivint. I'll just compare it to Utah, because I've been there. The Vivint, I think it's a Vivint arena now. Home of the Utah Jazz. I've gone to a few Utah Jazz games. You have your lower bowl and then you have your upper bowl. This arena is just lower bowl. For anybody that goes to NBA games or knows the, stadium size. And really about half of that for the stance is set aside for audience. The other side, I never saw tickets get sold for the side that the cameras are on. WWE back in the day, they would sell those and like everything except for where the stage is for a quarter. The small quarter, that's not really a quarter, but you know what I'm saying. Like generally where a basketball hoop would be, that's where the stages are for professional wrestling if you're not familiar. And if you're not familiar with basketball, just Google search this for me, okay? Makes it easier to explain. You know, if it's a big wrestling show, everything but like a quarter of the arena is going to be filled. In WWE, they would have the upper bowls too. AEW was the smaller arenas, and they would only sell about half of them, it looked like, at least for this show. They didn't even try selling seats that were behind the camera. And only the seats that were directly in front of like where the camera would be for the live TV in the stands, only those were filled. If you go back and watch the March 11th episode of Dynamite and they switch to like a camera that's like not directly in front of the ring, you can see that seats are empty. This is, and keep in mind, in my perspective, this is the day before all shit hit the fan. And honestly, where I'm getting at with the story is this is the day the shit hit the fan for me. This is the day I see that the shit hit the fan for the world. But as I'm at this event, you know, aware that like it's starting to spread, the coronavirus is starting to spread in the US, aware that like it's starting to happen, and in the back of my mind, like, is this really a good idea that I'm at this event? Which, if I'm speaking to you truthfully, it wasn't a good idea. I mean, I cherish the memory that I went there, but hindsight being 2020, it wasn't a good idea. But I am fully looking forward to the next one. I'll just leave it at that. It almost makes me feel bad because like the seats were not filled. I like had this feeling like they're not going to want to come back to this town again. Nobody showed out for them. Like a few months earlier, they packed the former Delta Center for WWE. Why are people not coming to AEW? Hindsight being 2020, it's because of the coronavirus. I'm glad people didn't come, and you know, I was learning as well. So yeah, there was not a ton of people there. The floor seating was packed. The stand seating was, if it was a normal day for a normal wrestling show, not in a pandemic, embarrassing. Again, pre-pandemic. It was embarrassing. And I could hear people talking as I was going throughout the arena. You know, whether it be I was going to the bathroom, whether it be I was going to the concession stand, whether it be I was going to buy a t-shirt. I could hear people talking. Tom Hanks got the coronavirus. Yeah, I remember who got the coronavirus on March 11th. Tom fucking Hanks had the coronavirus. You know who else got the coronavirus that kind of started concerning me? Rudy Gobert, the center for the Utah Jazz. Now, for you that don't watch basketball, a center is basically the tallest person on the team. Let's just put it that. The center of basketball, the center position in basketball is the tallest person. They're there to get rebounds and be close to the rim. Rudy Gobert got the coronavirus, and that was around that time. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm in Salt Lake City and somebody here has the coronavirus. Granted, one person, and that might have been the first case, I don't remember, but one person in a state having the coronavirus in the city you're in is not that scary in hindsight. But let me tell you, it was concerning. Because, you know, in my state, Wyoming was like one of the last states to get an active case. Utah, you know, it was one of the last. It was mostly like the shore states, I feel like. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a geographical podcast. But yeah, the NBA player Rudy Gobert got the coronavirus. And here I am. He's the center for the Utah Jazz. Here I am in Salt Lake City, the home of the Utah Jazz. Granted, I'm not in the arena that the Utah Jazz play at. I'm down the road. But I was concerned. But, you know, I enjoyed my time there. What will happen will happen. I was more concerned about my coworker and friend that went to the Philippines just around that time. Like, if it was going to come into my system from anywhere, sorry to put you on blast, but you know who you is. So yeah, that's when we started hearing about, you know, these people. The next day we get home, I took the day off. I was up all night. We didn't get a hotel. You know, we're close enough. We're like, we'll just drive back. You know, it's March. There shouldn't be that much harsh weather, but we'll just drive back. And we had a blast. We got a t-shirt. I had a sticker on my car, AEW's Jericho. It just fell off the window from the wind. And I'm upset about it. If you guys want to send me a new sticker, I would love that. But, you know, we came back, and March 12th, that was the day that everything was canceled. You know, we basically went to the last live event before lockdown. That's how it feels like to me. I'm sure that there was concerts on the 11th or after that, and I'm sure that there was maybe sporting events, but like March 12th, that's the day everything got shut down. NBA season canceled. You know, professional wrestling, that's between that taping in front of a live audience on Wednesday, WWE on Friday was in front of an empty stadium. That's when the empty stadium era of professional wrestling started. We were the last major professional wrestling. And NXT that week was in front of like a small crowd at their performance center. Because the building that they normally film NXT, which is WWE, for you, those of you who don't know wrestling, the building was like set aside for a graduation, I think, because they film on like a college campus, that brand. So the building that they normally record in was in use, so they had to go to like where they train the wrestlers and have a ring in there, and like friends and family and like diehard fans got to come. It was small. I don't watch a lot of NXT, but I remember that event happening. And keep in mind, here's the little thing about me too for future reference. My memory is terrible, but I'm telling you all this stuff like it happened yesterday. That's how much it sticks in my mind. It's not changing. It's not to the level of changing the world of like, say, September 11th. Maybe I'll talk about my memories of that day in a different podcast. But, you know, the world definitely changed on March 11th, March 12th. If not the world, at least the United States. So yeah, everything went to hell after I decided to go watch this professional wrestling show. Since then, everything's been closed arenas. NBA has come back and done closed show. I don't know how the NBA, I just said NBA, NFL, I know the NFL is doing a season again. I just don't know how like they're doing fan attendance. Since then, WWE has, for the most part, been closed set. They used to have their trainees as their audience. And then like they introduced like actual fans mixed in between them, and then they had an outbreak of corona. That was smart. And then there was no fans. And then they, went the NBA route and had like virtual fans in the background. But the world hasn't really, at least the world as I've experienced it, hasn't really been the same since March 11th. I'm sorry for getting my words confused. I'm bad with words anyways, and we cracked open one. How has this affected me? Let's just dip into real quick how the Rona has affected me. And it's affected everybody differently. And definitely my heart goes out to those who have been more severely affected by this than I have. And really, this has just become a way of life for me. I'm a hermit to begin with. So, like, the opportunity to hide away from people? Hell yeah. And even with my friends, I'm so socially awkward that, like, I'm sorry, guys. I love you guys, but, like, I'm okay being shut in a cave forever. I love being around everybody, like, the people in my life that I love. I love being around you guys. But, like, I'm built that I can carry on being disconnected from everything. Of course, I have the internet, and hell, I'm doing a podcast because I'm bored, but whatever. I forgot where we were going with this one. Leave a comment where I was going with this so I remember. Unless you're listening onto like an audio version, which is what I intended with doing because I don't want to do just YouTube. Everything changed March 11th. What has it done with my life? That's where we were going. Well, my career path is I am an IT technician. I work on computers. And, fortunately, that kind of job, when a pandemic hits, when the pandemic, hit in March, very high demand. People needed their computers. They needed to work from home. They needed to connect to their systems. They needed to connect to each other. We were busy as hell. And, once it really started getting serious, I don't know, like, the date that all this happened, but, like, it came down, yeah. We're basically locking the doors to the office, but we still have plenty of work to do. Go home, be safe, and do your job. And I spent about 40 days in working from home in that instance. And let me tell you, sometimes working from home can be frustrating as hell. If any of my friends listening, anybody that doesn't have the kind of job where they can work from home, it's mad frustrating as hell sometimes. Communicating with people, through phone calls, which I know I don't make a lot of phone calls to my coworkers. That's all I can communicate with my customers, but like coworkers, I'm like, I don't want to call them unless I do. But mostly it's like an instant message and like, communication when you're not face to face, regardless of the method, is hindered. And it's rough. And, those 40 some odd days were rough. And, things seemed like they were getting better. And during this time we were working from home, my office expanded our office. We leased the space right next to it, and we, built more office space for our employees. So we all had offices. So yeah, I was excited to get back to work because I finally had my own office. I finally had my own door I could shut and keep people out. It felt special getting your own office feels special. Getting your own desk feels special. And I'll talk about my work in another podcast because I think that would be, interesting to talk about, my journey to where I am professionally. And it's a neat story in my mind. We'll talk about it some other week. But, I finally got to get my own office with my own desk, and I could fill it with my own crap to make it my own. So I was excited. Plus, we had a new employee, and I had to train him. I had to be there to guide him through the ropes anyways. It was kind of time for me to come back at that point. And things weren't the way they were right now, mid-November, as they were in whenever that was. May? I believe it was May. And most of my duties when I came back to working in the office, aside from training the new guy, was building the office. The running joke forever was I am the office maintenance man because I did everything. I was the only one trusted to put holes in the brand new walls. So hanging stuff, I built a lot of the furniture. And then kind of life started to go back to normal a little bit. Keep in mind, if anybody's listening to this outside of the state of Wyoming, Wyoming's fairly sheltered. Wyoming's also fairly stupid, but Wyoming's fairly sheltered. And, we didn't get and are not hit as bad as the rest of the world with this virus. I mean, it's hitting hard now, and I will get to that in a second. But overall, we've, it just hasn't been comparable to people around us, to states around us, to lives around us. And, we were going about, but still I was taking the precautions. There were, basically the people I'm around every day, my guard was let down. And I regret that, but my guard was let down. I haven't caught the virus yet, fortunately. But, I had a circle of people around me, my family, my coworkers, and my guard was down for them for May until November. And, finally November comes around. Cases are going up. Cases are spiking the fuck out of here. If coronavirus was going for a home run, this is a home run for them. People were saying we've survived the thick of it. The thick of it is just beginning. Sorry to call you out. You know who you are. I'm not going to name names. You know who you is. Do you know who we is? We know who you is. I love you though. But here we are, November. Cases are going up. And at this point, between October and November, I have self-isolated twice. Because I went and helped family move into a brand new house. Not a brand new house, but a new house for them. It was very exciting. I wanted to be like as much help to them as I could and be there for them when they need it, because moving sucks. So I'm like, hell yeah, this is an exciting time. You need me, I will do whatever it takes. And I helped them move, and fortunately we were good, but like they came into contact with somebody around that time frame that had the virus, known contact. So, oh shit, that's in, the applicable time frame for me. I'm going to go work from home, guys. Thanks, bye. And, work's fine with that. Work has been fine through any of my decisions I've made so far. Or at least they haven't told me otherwise. So, I go through that, wait for them to get their results back. Because, perfect logic being, if they don't have the virus, my family, I don't have the virus, because that's who I would have gotten it from. We're safe. Okay, cool. I'll go back to work. Keep in mind, too, I've been masking and sanitizing, washing this whole time. Anytime I'm like not in my circle, I wash, sanitize, wear my mask. A few weeks later, come down the road, and my roommate, my brother-in-law, one of his coworkers gets the virus. Well, cool. I'm going to self-isolate until he gets the results, since he needs a test. We had one of our friends over and that during that time too, and they called like the COVID hotline to get instructions what really they should do when they, isolated after being around us. And so I called the hotline as well, just to figure out like what really I should be doing. And they told me to get tested. So this was my first experience with getting my brain scrubbed. And, disclaimer for everybody that has to go through getting the COVID test. It's really not that bad. I mean, it's uncomfortable. It'll make you squirm. But in my opinion, if you wanted to give me a COVID test every week or a blood test every week, I will hands down take getting something shoved up my nose. I mean, my fingers already get shoved up my nose, just not as far as these tests. And I hate getting a needle stuck in my arm. That spot. That spot right on the backside of your elbow. No. Anything going in there is horrible, and I can't fully extend my arm for the rest of the day. I'm totally down with getting needles stuck for flu shots, whatever that test is for tuberculosis. I'm totally fine with those. I've gotten allergy tests where they've literally stuck 50 different needles in my arms. Hell yeah, I'm there for that all day. But you draw my blood, no. COVID testing, I would take every day of the week over getting a blood test. I would take a COVID test every day of the week as opposed to getting my blood drawn once every 2 weeks. They did drive-through testing in my area, our hospital. And by the time I finally got tested, it was free testing. You drive up, fill out some paperwork. A nurse would come out in full bodysuit, shove something up your nose. And surprisingly, the results were variable on times. My brother-in-law, he got his test on Sunday. My wife and I, we got our test on Monday. Wednesday comes around, my wife gets her results called in on the phone. Okay, where's our results? The next day we get our results back. I get mine first and then my brother-in-law, which makes no sense in the order of things, but whatever. I don't work in a hospital anymore. I don't know how they do that stuff. So, okay, I'm clear. Can I go back to work? I got this stuff that I'm trying to learn and I want to, be there for. Uh, I'm going to go do the stuff. Okay, fine, bye. I go learn to do new things in my IT career. And like I remember having a conversation with another one of my coworkers like I don't know if I should have came back to work. Like at least like brought my stuff back into the office and like started working from the office cuz like the way things are going, I feel like everything's going to get shut down again. Now, that was a week ago. I think maybe 2 weeks ago. Everything hasn't shut down yet. But in my county, we finally have a mask mandate. Wear a mask in public. So, like, it's in place. If you're around somebody in public, in a place of business, wear a mask. So, that happened after I decided to work from home. Let's back up a little bit. Let's get back to this, my fourth time working from home through all this. It was not even a week after I decided to come back. My boss got tested for Rona. Came back negative, all good, but it was said if you can work from home, do it. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'll go work from home. I want to avoid people as much as possible. Bonus points. I don't have to wear pants. And yes, everybody at the office knows I don't want to wear pants to work. But yeah, bonus points. I don't have to wear pants. Fortunately, things come back good for my boss. And I say, we still good to work from home? At this point, I'm the only one working from home. Yes, I'm calling everybody out at work. And, it's encouraged. If you can, do it. I'm like, I can make it work. I am fine with going somewhere if I need to and doing all the right things, socially distance, wear a mask, sanitize, avoid human contact. I am the pro at avoiding human contact. I am the pro at avoiding human eye contact, okay? I can make 6 feet work. So I go work from home. I make it clear that I'm working from home. If I need to go somewhere, though, I'm going to follow all the precautions. And, before this, working from home happened, I kind of made it clear, I'm going to be taking all the precautions, too. But, and I'm sorry, I'm calling everybody out at work. I love them, but yeah, I'm calling your asses out. The opportunity was there and I took it. And I'm still the only one working from home. The test came back good for my boss. I said, can we still work from home? Yes, it's encouraged. That's all I need to hear. Pants are still off. Fast forward, later on in the week, I think this happened like Monday, we got that. Today, we get word about the mask mandate around the county. Wear a mask. You got to wear a mask in public. You got to wear a mask if you're going to a customer. You got to wear a mask if you're dealing with a customer face to face. I'm like, okay, cool. That's what I've been doing. I'm still at home. Email says if you're working from home, it's encouraged if you can work from home. That's great. My computer's here, my laptop, my docking station, my phone's right next to me, because we got the phones that can go anywhere. Phone's not an issue. I can answer the phone just like I was answering it in the office. Not a problem. The only difference is it's in my basement and my pants are off. If I need to go somewhere, no problem. I'll put some pants on. You got it, boss. I'll do the job. And I'll wear my mask and I won't even look them in the eyes. I don't even want to be contaminated by looking at people in the eyes. But you got it, boss. I'll do the job, boss. I did the job, boss. I'm back to working from home, boss. And I'm not gonna lie, that kind of spawned some frustration that I'm the only one that did. Now, some of my coworkers, they do work from home here and there, but like, I'm the only one that was like, fuck, no, I'm staying away from you people. I'm staying away from everybody. I'm going to go home. I'm going to take my ball and go home. I'll still do my job, but I'm going to sit at home and do my job from home with no pants on. Like, it's just frustrating that people around you and people you care about, like, don't. And I know other people I care about, they do. But like, I'm just concerned about everybody. But yeah, it's just frustrating when you're doing everything you can and you're inconveniencing yourself and you're like sacrificing things, out of respect for other people. I don't give a fuck about your sheeples, about controlling the people, about, anything. I just want the people I care about to be safe. And I want the people I care about to be healthy. And I don't want the people I care about to be that 1% or whatever it is. I would be devastated, crushed, if because of my stupidity I gave this virus to somebody else and they ended up dying. That's what I'm living with. I don't want to be the one responsible for killing someone I care about. Because of negligence, because of pride, because of just not willing to do what I can. And I'm trying to do all I can. I'm trying to work from home, stay the fuck away from anybody. If I got to get groceries, somebody's putting it in the trunk. I'm ordering it online. The only really in-person thing I really need to do these days is I got to get my Xbox. That's another podcast, is the brand new Xbox. I've already had it, but there's problems. We'll get to that at a later time. Got to get my Xbox, and the occasional, things have to be going to a customer's location to help them. That's all that I want to leave the house for. Thanksgiving in my house, canceled. Christmas in my house, canceled. You might get a gift, but I'm not going anywhere for Christmas. I'm sorry I broke the tradition of going and hot tubbing for Christmas, but I'm not leaving town. I'm not leaving my house for the holidays. Because I care about the people I love. And I'm going to take this serious until it's through. Famous last words. I don't really know what else to say from there. That's been that. I think I've recorded this far longer than I was intending to record it, so that's good. Anyways, thanks for listening. I hope you will subscribe, follow, whatever it is on whatever platform this is on. And we'll do this again. Okay? We'll talk about something else. I wish health on all you. And cheers. This episode is not sponsored by Blue Chew, but if you want to give me a boner, please give me a call.